Hello, and welcome back to Fashion and Founders, the podcast. My name is Victoria Smith, and this week I'm joined with Emily Blair Marcus, the founder of Emily Blair Media, a PR firm with offices in LA, New York, and London. She is the PR powerhouse behind this new era of celebrities. She's worked with Morgan Riddle, Jowsey, Sabrina the Tube Girl, Ekin Su from Love Island, Pookie and Jett, Boys Lie, Sofia Franklin, and so many more. Hearing from her about the strategy of why she took this approach and why she launched in the UK is just so smart. There is so much to learn from Emily in this episode. She thinks differently, acts fast, and just gets her work done so well that the clients keep coming to her. She also shares some amazing tips on how to write a winning pitch, how to actually get a journalist's attention, how to be your own PR agent. She has a lot of really good little secrets and tips, and shares things that you can do for yourself that are so smart and easily applicable today. There's so much value in this. I'm so thankful for Emily for sharing, and for my lovely friend Chloe, who runs the UK branch, for helping make this happen. So let's get into the episode. And this week's highlight is the brand Coster Culture, an emerging Australian brand. Yasmin, the founder, shared with me that she originally started by sewing every piece by hand and has since designed, produced, and marketed Coster Culture all herself, building it to be a highly regarded, aspirational brand to inspire others to embrace self-expression and ultra-femininity. They were featured in British Vogue last year and aimed to create each piece to be wearable art. Coster Culture primarily utilizes sustainable, upcycled, or recycled fabrics and partners with packaging and distribution companies that work to offset their emissions and engage with 100% recycled materials. They are dedicated to the highest quality craftsmanship and unparalleled attention to detail and visionary innovation. They have a new collection releasing soon that Yasmin says will be perfect for summer. I found her brand on Instagram and immediately loved it. I think I've always also gravitated towards Australian brands. I find something so timeless and elevated about the designs I've seen. Definitely go check them out at Coster Culture with K's, not C's. And I would also love to start featuring more global brands like this. So if that is you or you know of one, please DM me. Hi, Emily. I've never sat across someone before when doing these. This is funny.
Oh, usually next to each other?
Yeah, we're usually like
more
this.
Conversational. Yeah, this is very
I know.
all black business meeting.
But I would love to get started with a bit of your background and introduction onto how you started Emily Blair Media.
Yeah. Oh my God. There's the Cliff Notes version. There's the season-long limited Netflix series version. But long story short, it's I've always been so inspired by the world of media. I would wake up in the morning when I was in elementary school and write my own what's in my bag articles with my sister and make our own magazines. So I was always so enthralled by that. And growing up in LA and living close to Hollywood, it was always top of mind for me, and I was so allured by it. And in high school, I would never go to high school parties and, drink beer and, do that whole thing. I was very uncool, but I was 13 going to 30. I'm I want to grow up already. And so my friends and I would go to fancy restaurants and order $10 desserts just to sit somewhere spectacular. Are you from LA?
No, I'm not. I'm from DC.
Oh, okay. Vast area. I love Georgetown and
really? Yeah, that's where I went to school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love DC so much. Oh my God, I want to go back. But there's a lot of nightlife culture there too.
Yeah.
So
and it's expensive.
Exactly. If you wanted to grow up and be in politics in DC, the bars to hang out at, the places to be seen, to overhear cool conversations or see certain people. And I'm sure, unless that's a stereotype from watching Scandal, but that's what I would assume to some degree. And it's very much like that in LA. And so I would put myself in those positions. One thing after another, I eventually saw Cameron Diaz leaving the Chateau Marmont when I was a junior in high school, and I tweeted about it, and a reporter at Us Weekly found my tweet, and it turns out, because there's ways to geotag, or it used to be on Twitter, now it's X, saw Cameron Diaz or walked by Cameron Diaz, or she was searching for people who had seen Cameron Diaz because it was her bachelorette party that I had seen. And so she reached out to me, asked for information about seeing her, and I wrote her a thesis paper on every single detail I could remember. And then that ended up leading me asking her to for an informal internship, which I did throughout the rest of my high school experience and into college. And then by the time I was a senior in college, I was full-time writing and reporting for Us Weekly, and it was very Hannah Montana. It was literally college finals in the morning, apologizing for being late on assignments, Oscars at night. And so I went to a school that was very accommodating towards that, and we're used to students like working in the industry. And so by the time I graduated, two things happened. I was burnt out on writing stories about Kim Kardashian all day. I was like, there's gotta be more to life than this. I just know it. And then I realized there was like a significant shift happening in like the landscape of media, like traditional celebrities who got famous for making movies that hit the award season junket, or like musicians that opened on tours and then did their own global tours. There was this new pocket of talent that was very digitally native that were becoming famous in ways that I've never heard of, and my editors had definitely never heard of, and it was happening like overnight. And so I realized there was like a sweet spot to help them take their audiences of several million, like the Addisons and the Dixies of the world, and communicate their messaging to the press in a way that was like mediable, because like as a reporter I knew like how to write a pitch that's going to get automatically deleted and what's actually going to be opened and how to navigate that. And I realized I could like reverse engineer that whole process and provide value to this like new wave of talent. And that was the impetus of very, very much circumstantial. Like I don't know if COVID would have happened, like where I would be in my life. I thought I was going to go to grad school, and I ended up just taking a chance on this experimental PR thing, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, I love that like coming of age story. It does feel very 13 going on 30. Did you have any practice in what it would mean to start a business? Like how to file a registration,
no.
an employee, like all of those things?
No, it was very much like learning on the fly. And I'm someone who has no ego, which I think is like, I can't like stress the importance of that enough. I am not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not afraid to ask for help. Like I just never want to be the smartest in the room. And so that really helped me, because like I was able to like see outside of myself and not be like, I'm going to do all this on my own. And I don't have investors. I don't have anybody who was like, okay, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and like here's the roadmap to do it. Work with this person, work with that person. It was very go as you go. And my mom's a small business owner, and so I relied on her a lot. I've used all of her people until like a few years ago, where I was like, this lawyer is archaic, or like, why does this accountant literally file everything on paper? Like, why does he not have a computer? And so I started to like trust in my own people and my own vision, but I had a lot of like support at the beginning with like having her help me with, you have to do this, you have to do that, because people don't know. Like, to file an LLC, it's expensive, and you have to like publish something in a newspaper announcing that you're a business, and it's like, I didn't want to do that on my own, and so I hired a lawyer who's like, we will take care of all of that for $2K, and I'm like, have my money, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. What was it like pitching to your first clients? Do you remember who was your very first?
Yeah, I do. So my friend Kat, who's a makeup artist, when I was telling her, it was basically like right when COVID was like about to happen, and the last event I really ever covered for Us Weekly was the Critics' Choice Awards, like that whole, and the Golden Globes, the award season circuit of 2020. And so it usually starts with the Globes in January, the Emmys in September, and then it goes to like Critics' Choice, Independent Spirit, the Oscars. And I was sitting with her for the Academy Awards, I think, and she was doing my makeup, and I was talking to her about how like things felt weird in LA. Like it was around the time when the Mulan premiere was happening, and I think that was like the last big premiere in LA before things shut down for like 2 years, and everyone was like, are we going to this, are we not, like are we shaking hands people, are we not, like what's happening? And so people were just like a little bit nervous. And then she was like, well, and I was telling her that I had this back interest in PR but didn't know what I wanted to do with it. And she had this other client who, her name is Tara, and she, remember the show Dirty John on Netflix? It was a Wondery podcast also. It was about this girl who, Julia Garner starred in it, and Connie Britton, I think. And this girl killed her stepfather in self-defense, and he was like a psycho. And this girl, like the real life girl who like Julia Garner paid on the show, was also a client of a makeup artist. And she was like, Tara's looking for press because like she wants to tell her side of the story and like have this whole like arc is like, it was based on me, like maybe you can work with her. And I was like, well, I've never been a publicist, but all my friends are journalists. Like, they work for E!, they work for People, they work for Us Weekly, Entertainment Tonight. Like, it's not a cold pitch into the stratosphere. It's like, I know how to get this done. And, like, I know how her story should be told. The anniversary of the whole accident is coming up. Like, she should be doing an op-ed for People. She should be on Good Morning America. Like, it all, I could see it in my head. I just needed to, like, execute it. And Tara took a chance on me, and, like, I worked with her for a few months, and like we were able to do a lot of great things, and Kat referred me another client after that, and it all trickled down. But that was my very first entry point to PR.
Yeah, wow. Well, there's a quote I want to pull out from your website because I want to hear more about what the services of PR entail, because I think it's easy like, oh, it's one article, but really I definitely know it's much more than that, but I want to hear it from you.
And a lot of people think different things about the meaning of PR.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
And it was from Jowsey.
Love him.
Which I think so speaks to the like digital native celebrity in a way.
Yeah, totally. He's right up there, one of the first.
Yeah, and he said there isn't anything she wouldn't do for her clients and the people she cares about. And I feel like that is so different than just a business transaction. That's so much more than that.
Yeah.
What are these relationships like with your clients?
Yeah, I mean, like, the things that we genuinely do for them day to day are not baked into our scope of work. So, like, our scope of work is like, we'll pitch you to press, we'll set up opportunities for you to share your story on podcasts, print, digital, television, collaborations, events, whatever it might be. But, like, in truth, PR is, we're a therapist, we're a crisis manager, we're a chauffeur, we're a social media manager, we're a strategist, we're everything. And so I think that for me, like, I genuinely want to work with people who I will ride for till the end. Like, we are in this together, like, through thick and thin, because it's also, like, what a lot of PR has taught us in the news the last few months. It's like, you're in it with your team, like, whether you like it or not. Like, we can all read between the lines there. When you are riding for your client and, like, suggesting something, like, it's a very, very intimate and personal relationship, especially when you want them to trust you with something. And a lot of people have, you know, they've been burned before by other teams, or, like, they have a misunderstanding of what PR is to another team, and it's a completely different definition of what it is to your company. And so I'm really sensitive of that. Like, when I'm signing new clients, I always ask, like, what worked for them in the past and what didn't. And it's not to, like, shit on my competitors. I actually really value and admire so many of my competitors, and I'm friendly with them. It's more so just to understand that client in particular, like, what needs, like, work for them, because everyone's so different. Our communication styles, how we absorb information, how we give information, and I'm like a chameleon. I'm like a three-headed dog. Like, I can be whatever you want me to be. Just, like, tell me what works for you. And I think having such a genuine passion and love for my clients, and really trying to sign people who fit our values as a company, and, like, who I can see it with, and, like, if you give me X amount of time, like, here's what we're gonna do. And Harry's such a great case study of, like, a guy who we met in 2021, I think, when he was, like, fresh off of Too Hot to Handle, the hot guy on the beach. Like, where do you go from there? And then 3 years later, he's on Dancing with the Stars. And so, like, there was a trajectory, and there were definitely things that we had to overcome along the way. And it's like, because we had that trust and that respect, and I just think he's an incredible person, like, we were able to really just navigate the more challenging parts and just, like, get through it all with just grace and grit.
And he's on the Unwell Network now, too, with Alice Cooper. So that's, like, such, like, the perfect example story, I think.
Amazing. He, like, really restarted his podcast, too, which we were talking about earlier. Like, it's interesting how some people, like, it might not be the right team or the right time or the right place, and it's like, you can close one door and a whole new one can open with results that you never saw coming. So.
Yeah, I personally believe that, like, in this day and age with social media, anyone can be a self-publicist in a way, but it lacks complete legitimacy. And traditional PR, like the services you provide, is what will take someone to that next level. So I can be on Instagram and be like, I'm amazing, and people be like, okay, like.
Have you ever pitched yourself out to, like, journalists? Like, have you ever done, like, research on, like, oh, like, this person writes for Bustle, like, she's written about, like, X, Y, and Z, like, maybe she'd want to know what I'm doing. Like, I'm curious if, like, you've ever, like.
I have, yeah, because I've also, like, talked to Chloe.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so I would, like, ask her questions about that, but I think it is, one, hard to, like, self-pitch, but I think that's the main difference. I can post and, like, I'm amazing, but if, like, then I'm in vogue, it's like, oh, okay, like,
other
now
people are giving you that credibility. Like,
yeah.
It's interesting that we've given the media power to, like, define us and tell our story a little bit, but I mean, I do the same thing. Like, I've been really focused in the last few years in founder press, and, like, I used to be so behind the scenes. I'm like, I don't want to be seen, acknowledged, perceived. I would love to be private on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, okay, this is my brand. Like, unfortunately, I tap my name on it. It's not called the Public Relations Company. It's called Emily Blair Media.
Yeah.
I'm Emily. And so in order to, like, win those awards, get that recognition, like, attract more clients, like, I need to put myself in front of it. And so in doing that, like, Forbes calling me, like, best in class PR, being on the insider list every year of top publicists, those are things that have really helped me, because I know that, like, it always leads to calls of potential future partners, potential clients. It's a tool. And so I think that having that credibility is still so great, but I also know it's super expensive. And hot tip for everybody, I know people in the past who've literally, like, created, like, a fake Gmail account.
Done that?
Yeah. Has it worked for you? Like, Sasha at, like.
It once did, and then I, like, got nervous because I was like, I'm gonna mess this up and respond from the wrong name.
That's so funny. No, like, I literally, I think Celeste did that, actually. I think my friend Celeste, who I co-host my podcast with, she did that. And, like, because it's the same thing. It's like, we give power to other people. Like, if somebody is advocating for you, like, it's awkward maybe for you to brag about yourself, but Sasha can talk all day about how you are providing a platform for, like, emerging founders and XYZ or whatever. And it's like, when someone else is like bragging on your behalf, it's like, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah. Do you have tips for people who, I think that was the word I was looking for, credibility, because once like you get that PR and like you're in Vogue, you're in Business of Fashion, you're in W Magazine, like now you've just reached that next level of your business. But if someone that can't afford to hire a PR or it's like what they really want to do, I'm sure you can't take on every client that wants to work with you. What are your tips to utilizing PR to get to that next level?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of things that people can do for themselves, and it really comes down to like PR is so personal, and like when it's done right, like it can't be robotic. Like I can't tell you how many times as a journalist I would receive emails that were like, hey Sarah, hope you're having a great day. I'd love to tell you about XYZ. And like, okay, this person mass pitched. They didn't carefully understand. They have no idea what my byline is because I'm not going to be interested in this Snuggie, even though I think it's really fun and cute. Like I write about like Kim Kardashian's nail polish color. Like why am I going to cover a Snuggie? And so it's really getting down to like very much pinpointing what you're doing. Okay, so if you are, launching a sustainable skincare brand and you really know your competitive edge, you know your market consumer, you know everything about what makes you different and why there's a place and a need for you, I would do a deep dive on like, don't overwhelm yourself. Choose like 5 beauty outlets, like choose the allures of the world, like the cream of the crop, but also choose like, some that are like more small and like could be like a good entry point. Maybe, I don't know, like dig any publications because I love all kinds, but like choose one that has like maybe a lower readership than something like Vogue. And go through the website and like really familiarize yourself with like who's on the staff there. Like, oh, okay, like Jennifer covers like sustainable beauty launches. Interesting. Oh, Sarah looks like she's a freelancer because she doesn't have like an official whatever email like at the end. It's a Gmail or an AOL account. But like if you look at her Instagram and she's a press highlight, okay, like everything that she's written about is like new founders. Like what's new this year? What's the new launch this year? Like cool. Okay, these are people that I would want to reach out to. And so never DM pitch an editor. Like a lot of editors have in their Instagram bios, don't pitch me, and don't. But what I do, and like I've had editors tell me this in the past that this works, which is so validating to hear because just something I've tried, is you don't want to be just like a name in someone's inbox, especially when they get hundreds of emails a day. So what I'll do is like, if there's an editor like Jennifer, so I found Jennifer's Instagram, cool. I know I'm going to send her a pitch that I think she'll like, but I could get buried in like a sea of pitches today. I'll go to Jennifer's Instagram, I'll like 5 of her recent posts. I will maybe like comment on one like, hey Jennifer, like just sent you an email like XX or something like that. And like that's not too aggressive. Like that shows her that like, okay, like someone left a comment. She might now look out for my name, or like my name will process something that she's seen before in the past, like in her emails. And I'll make it so specific. I really like to get to know these editors, not stalking them, but like find a mutual place. Don't be like, hey Jennifer, hope you're having a great day. I'd love to tell you about so and so and so. Do you know how many people are telling her about so-and-so that day? Instead, be like, oh my god, I just saw you just got back from like a vacation in Italy. It looked so fun. Haven't left the country in years, dying for a break, lol. Something else I thought you'd like really enjoy on your next vacation is like something that you need in your travel bag. Here's why I launched XYZ. And so just making it like more human. Like we all just like want to see how products can be a necessary thing in our lives, especially with like overconsumption and like the issues that we have right now around that. It's just finding like really like getting so specific on like why this person needs to know about you. And that can all be done without a PR team. It's just like we can obviously do it faster and in higher volume, and like we have those existing relationships, but anybody can do it.
Yeah. And you like know the formula.
Exactly.
So well.
And also there's a lot of leveraging. It's like if I really want one of my clients to end up in Bustle, and I know that this editor is more likely to approve this client if I give her this client first, it's like it's all a game. And it's like it's all relationships too. Like I have a friend of mine who like she oversees talent for like Bustle, The Zoe Report, like Elite Daily, Nylon, and she's genuinely my friend. But like when I first like saw her on the internet, like I took her to dinners, lunches, like really like schmoozed her up because like I wanted her to like me and to like my clients, like end of the day. And like in doing that, I just realized there's so much in common and I genuinely adore her. And like now if I pitch her, it's not like, hi Samantha, I hope you're having a nice day. It's like, babe, what can we do here, please? SOS, LOL. Yeah. It's like more casual because it's just like that's the relationship we have. And I also know what kind of things she needs for like her content pillars, so it's mutual.
And you would think the customization and like not mass emailing people would be a bit more common sense, but like I've gotten pitches for the podcast of people, I'm like, you have nothing to do with what I talked about at all.
Like from publicists or people personally?
From publicists.
No
yeah.
way.
I'm like, yeah, I'm just like on your list.
You're just like
one episode.
in Muckracker Stitches. You know what those are?
Yeah.
They found you by some algorithm, or maybe you covered a really specific kind of founder, and they're like, I have a platform, like a tech app that's just like that. And
yeah, it's funny being on the other side.
Yeah.
I think you learn a lot from being like, oh, okay, that's what it feels like if I pitch to the wrong person.
Well, I'm still on a lot of people's email lists from when I worked at Us Weekly, and I don't subscribe to them. Like, it's like a little secret for me. I'm like, I like to see how other people are pitching. Like, if there's a holiday I'm missing, like, oh my god, today's National Lipstick Day. Who knew? Like, let me make sure I'm pitching XYZ. And so I like having that little like secret sauce.
Yeah, it's like those little things I think that can actually make the biggest difference. Because so much is
100%.
relationships. Yeah,
and it shows like your level of care to like attention and detail when you
Yeah.
mess up on the tiniest things.
yeah. It's called public relations. Like the relationships are key.
Boom. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A bit on the other side of things, if someone wanted to work in PR, maybe they want to intern for you, what would make them stand out as like a potential intern or at an agency?
Yeah. Yeah. I really love what you just said. My brain is still stuck on that. I have like ADHD, I don't make relationships. Like, that's so true. Interns, yeah. Whenever somebody DMs me or emails me, like, I will always respond and like funnel it through to like the hiring team. So I am always really excited when people like reach out cold about like internship opportunities. I think for us, and we've also hired previous interns full time, and like that worked really, really well for us, like in all of our offices, New York, UK, LA, which has been awesome because like they can see the actual day-to-day flow. They get a lot of responsibility. They're not doing busy work. We're not having them run copy. Like they are genuinely like getting into the nitty-gritty of it, which I appreciate because like that's how I was when I was an intern at Us Weekly, and like I think that you get the most value and learn the most. Whenever we do like in-person events, like we had like a summit last year, we had a lot of interns that came from that. We had a few new hires that came from that. Whenever I do like speaking opportunities, I always meet students. I've hired someone full-time in our New York office that I met at Vogue when I spoke there last summer, and so I think that just like showing up in those places, but you don't necessarily have to have a PR background too. The girl who's our social media assistant in New York, who's incredible, Cecily, like she's a finance background. And like I remember talking to her last summer, and she was telling me that she really wanted to break into comms, but she didn't have that background educationally. And like, but what tells me about Cecily is like she's doing this program in the summer. Like I did the same program she did, so I know it like prepares you for what we do. She's obviously exceptionally smart. She's like a finance degree. She understands like business. She understands communications. How hard can it be like for her to apply that skill set to like social media and events if that's something she's passionate about already? And so there was a great baseline. Like she was an enthusiastic person. For me, it really comes down to that. Even when I'm interviewing people like full time, like, are you confident? Can you carry yourself in a room? Can you communicate things and articulate them well? Because so much of like PR is talking and conversing, and you can't be passive and like wait for people to ask questions. You like have to be proactive. You have to be ready to answer questions on the go, like jump into a hard conversation. And even me, I have to bolster myself up sometimes beforehand. I'm like, we're getting on this call, it's not gonna be fun, but we're gonna do it. And like I self-talk all the time, I'm like a crazy person, but like it works. And so I look for those skills too.
Yeah, so I'm sure someone stands out immediately if they come up to you or send you the email, because like that's what they'll have to do if they're working for you.
Yeah.
Like put themselves out there. So
100%.
They have to be comfortable with that.
I'll never forget this. Our summit in the fall, I had this girl come up to me, and she was there because she knew that Harry Jowsey was speaking at our summit. She went up to me and Harry, and she was like, I want to give you this cover letter. I saw that Unwell is hiring a social media director. She was still in college, so like love her. She's amazing. She probably wouldn't have gotten a director position, but she saw that was like an opening role. She wrote a whole cover letter, like directed at Harry and Alex, attached to her resume, printed and handed it to Harry. He didn't know what to do. Like, he was like flabbergasted. I'm like,
I have nothing.
I'm like,
to do
hey,
with
resume, have you ever seen one before? Like, because his team is like, has been there since like the start, and like
he was like 21.
Yeah, he's very young. Like, I don't think and bless his heart, he's very smart and capable, but like it shocked me too. Like, because whenever that's lost art. Like, that's something that you don't see every day. And so people like email me and they're like, I really liked what you wrote in XYZ, or I really like what your client did on this campaign. I'm like, they're taking the time to study us. We're not just another PR firm that they click to apply on LinkedIn. Like, they know why they're applying here, and I think that is really a standout.
I want to ask about you as a founder. So I know you have your own podcast and you talk about that. Yeah, everyone should go listen. But you did this without having founded a business before. What have been your biggest lessons, learnings, and any tips you might have for someone trying to start a business that they can avoid certain mistakes?
Oh boy. Oh boy, where do we begin? Something I really strive to do is like never make the same mistake twice. And so like I'm not someone that gets all riled up and frustrated and angry. I'm like, okay, like let me like assess this like rationally, and like if I need to step away for a minute, I do. But like, where did I go wrong, and how can I course correct in the future? And so things now that like I can solve or remedy in 5 minutes would have taken me hours years ago. And it's like, I think there's a saying that it takes like 10,000 hours to like become an expert in anything. And so it's, I don't know how many hours I have into this, but it's a lot. It's sure as hell a lot. And so I think you just get smarter and smarter. And like what I said earlier, like something I always tell myself is like, if I'm the smartest one in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Like I want to surround myself with people who are experts at what they do. Don't ever hire me to like run your finances. Like you will go bankrupt in a day. But if you want to hire me to like strategically execute your visions for your company, I'm your girl. And so I plug in people who are experts at what they do. Like when it comes to legal, when it comes to like CFO, operations, like I have amazing people around me. And so I really try to like pinpoint what I want to do in my day and like where I can be the most of service and value to my clients and my team, and like how to have people around me who can fill in those other gaps. And so it's really hard, and there's a lot of things that people don't tell you, and it's very nuanced depending on where you live. Like for example, California has a whole host. I always joke that I'm like basically like Elle Woods. Like I have an Elle Woods law degree. Like I know so many random facts about like California employment law and labor laws and like everything, because I run a company like based in California, and I have a team of like 15 here. I have to know those things. Like I have to know if I'm like providing the best environment for them, or if there's things that like they may have questions about. Like I need to have answers to it. And so like our handbook, our employee handbook is being updated monthly almost, like by our legal team to make sure we're like up to standards and protocol, and there's all these things. And I'm not researching like what's the latest in California. Like that's where my ops team does, and they're like, they bring it to my attention. Like we need to make sure we're compliant here. Like do we have this down? And so it's all those little nuances that you don't think about when you're just in the fun part of like pitching and talking to your friend at Nylon and da-da-da-da. It's like that's like the sunny part of it. But like you have to make sure that your, you know, structure is so organized. Like are you, you know, filed as an LLC? Are you submitting your LLC taxes? Are you like submitting all of your, you know, finances appropriately so you don't get audited? Like because our business is really interesting. Like we're not, you know, there's a lot of things that can be considered write-offs, or things that like genuinely like, yeah, I got my hair and makeup done for the Oscars. Like that's a write-off legitimately, because yeah, I'm not going to go to the Oscars with my hair in a claw clip. Like, but for someone else, like if you were working at a restaurant and you were a +1 for the Oscars, that's not a write-off. Like you're going as a +1 for fun. Like so there's a lot of things like that you have to understand to be like legally compliant and operate as smoothly as you can that I didn't know anything about. And I'm always learning more things. But yeah.
I don't know if you've covered those topics on your podcast. I have to check it out. But I think those are like the exact things I would want to hear as like a listener. It's like, okay, she's done it, and you're not some like 50-year-old corporate dude. I'm like, we don't speak the same language. You're like, this is how a write-off works. Have you seen the Schitt's Creek? The clip of David, he's like, that's a write-off, and he's like, the government refunds me, and the dad like freaks out. It's like, I remember like watching that, and I was like, wait, is that not what that is?
Alexis, the OG publicist, I love her.
So I think that would be so interesting to hear. If it's like 10 minutes, I'm like, this is how you file a write-off.
That's really good to know. Yeah, we always dance around those subjects. Like we talk about them, but like again, like we're never like, we're so new that we're not really sure like where the feedback is. But I think you're right. Like I don't know where I would go necessarily right now if I wanted to find like more information about that, because a lot of people I listen to are like Lauren Bostic, which is all about like optimizing your life and your wellness, or Tinks, which is about like dating and pop culture. And so I don't really have like a go-to for those things right now. And I think you're right that like we often get preached down to by people who've been doing it for 30 years, 40 years, but it's things change by the millisecond. Like I hire people fresh out of college because they know way more about social media than I do. Like, and I have no shame in saying that. So I think that because things are changing so often, like we gotta create space for people to understand how it's done and not gatekeep all of those tricks of the trade.
Yeah, not like letting go of your secret sauce, but I think that is, at least from my perspective, like what I would want to be looking for, and what really I haven't heard in any podcast, because it is like interviews, comedy, fun, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm on YouTube watching this like creepy video some dude made in his basement about like, how do I register an LLC?
Like headphones and like 3 monitors. Yeah.
Or it's like a government page from like, I don't want to like, this is jargon.
No, it's not like approachable. It's not Elle Woodsy. Like we need to make it fun.
I want like the Elle Woods version of like how to start a business, basically.
I love that. That's a really smart way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because nobody teaches you, and like you also you mess up a lot of things like as you go, and then you don't realize you messed it up until you end up in a position where like you actually needed that one piece of information, whatever it is, and you don't have it. And so having a roadmap would have helped me a lot.
Because for example, like I've talked to people who are starting like creative agencies right now, where like they're in a job and they're like, there is such a ceiling on how much money I can make.
Yeah.
I want to now not have a ceiling, but like set the floor for myself of like how high I can go.
I love that.
They have asked me like in conversation and like, I don't know how to price myself. How did you go about being like, this is what I'm worth, and now you have a team of 15 people? Like, you
Just
obviously
like,
have
there's
to
like
grow.
30.
Oh my gosh, I realized.
There's a lot.
But it's like you obviously have to grow, and sometimes, at least for women too, we can have like imposter syndrome, and it's like, wait, maybe that actually isn't worth X amount, it's actually a little less. So it's like, no, you guys should be hiring or spending way more. How did you navigate those situations?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And I'm a bad negotiator when it comes to like clients, because I'm like so client facing. Like, I come from a small business background, so my mentality is like the customer is always right. And that's like seared into my mind, where it's like if they're trying to negotiate, like, yeah, I want them to sign with us because I need that money, because I need to make payroll and da-da-da-da. And it's just like, my CFO has helped me understand, like, you can't look at just what's in the thing. How much time was in that account? If this person wants to pay you lower than what you might, otherwise charge, like, how much are you paying all the people that run their account? Are you losing money? Are you earning money? And it's like those conversations, I've hired someone to help me like navigate, so I know. But it also comes down to having good relationships with your competitors and like having authenticity and like honest conversations. I'm in a group chat called PR Girlies with like 3 girls and a guy. And we, like, Fashion Week every year, we're like, okay, what's the deal? Like, we have a mutual spreadsheet we all share. We're like, everyone filling our contacts, like, who's running this show, who's running that show. And it's so helpful because we're not like, and same during the year, like, oh, who's the best person at this outlet these days? Or like, do you know if so-and-so's looking for this? Like, it makes it so helpful because, like, I'm always going to need a favor from someone. Someone will probably always need a favor from me. And it's like, we all win together. And, like, if we help each other with those things rather than, like, gatekeeping our relationships. And so that's really, like, even financially, I'm like, what are you guys charging for this? Or what are most of your clients making? And it's like making money less taboo, I think is like really something that I would love for people to like get into more, because it's hard. It should be like, yeah, I'm making this. Like, I would love making that. Like, what do you think I could do to get there? And on the other side of it, I think about that for my staff, because I'm like, I'm a growing business. Like, I hired an executive coach this year. And the first thing he told me, I know, it was like, my assistant had like an intervention with me and she was like, you need a coach. And I'm like, okay, I actually had an ego about it for like a month and then I came around. But he was like, you're going from a small business to a medium-sized business. Like, you are now, like, when you hit around 30 people, like, you're no longer a startup. And I think you've been in like startup mode for so long of like, oh, I have fun tech, let's all be like, nah. And it's like, no, we have such a structure. Like, we used to sit around the table and have structure meetings, I swear to God. Like, we ran on a whiteboard, like, how should we, like, what's our structure? Like, nobody knew what we were doing. And we figured it out and we got here. Now we are so structured. But I'm thinking about when we get to a medium-sized business, like, the people I have who are heads, like head of talent, head of brands, like, how do their roles evolve? How do people, like, I don't want them to think that they've hit a ceiling, like you said, in their earlier mid-20s. Like, I want them to see themselves growing here for years to come. And so it's like, okay, do we want to see ourselves building out a beauty department, a fashion department, a sports department? So we have like a VP of athletes, like a VP of beauty, a VP of fashion, like, and people take ownership over those lanes. And then like that head of brands role or head of talent role can keep growing to like oversee those things. And so I'm always trying to think of like what the next 5 years looks like, 10 years, so I can like understand the growth path, so people aren't just like, what are we all doing here?
Yeah.
I think that's really important for people to know, like, especially with joining earlier companies, like, where they're going to be, because you're not joining Google. We're not like, you're going to start here and in 12 years you're going to be there.
Yeah.
Like, that's not us yet, but like they can see a path at least like 5 years into the future.
Yeah. And you're definitely not a startup anymore. You have a branch in the UK.
I know, it's so freaky to like think about that. We're like, wait, hold on, like, this isn't like an experiment in my mom's kitchen anymore.
Yeah. Why did you decide to branch out to be not just national anymore, but global and have an office in London?
Yeah, I have always been so fascinated by like UK culture. Like, I think it's amazing. You were when we met there, you were just visiting, right? Or were you there?
I did the same master's as Chloe.
You did the master's,
and then I was living there subletting.
Okay, so you could like probably understand firsthand then, like, how
I love UK culture.
It's amazing, and like they're so. Oh, let's talk about it. We represent Ekin Su.
I love Love Island.
It's so addicting. Like, if I watch shows like that, I will get on a tailspin. It's the best ever.
So good. Anyway,
it's so good. So culture in the UK and Asia, I think, are like so far ahead of us. I don't think they look at America and they're like, well, actually, let me take that back. Like, I think some parts of American culture, they're like, you guys are weird. Like, we don't need to copy that. But I think other parts of American culture, they respect and admire.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was, like, spending a lot of time in the UK, like, doing a program at Condé Nast and just being obsessed with traveling in London in general and spending a lot of time there. I'm like, okay, my clients, like, who are British or have a UK presence, or just what I've seen about UK celebrities in general, they get like tabloid press. Like they're in the Mirror, the Sun, the Daily Mail. By the way, like their PR teams are pitching those outlets, and their networks of the shows they're on are also pitching those networks. But I'm like, that's so weird, because people like Harry Jowsey, who have the same background, are in GQ in America. So like, what's going on? And so I realized, and also the whole ecosystem of like talent in the UK is very much segmented to the UK. Hardly ever have they known before, like Madeline RG was able to like really break through in that kind of way. Like GK Barry, I can tell you that name and you know who that is. Like living in the UK, but like no one here would know who she is, like on a mainstream level. And she's like the Alex Earl of the UK, or the Alex Cooper rather. And so it's like I realized that like they didn't really have an approach to kind of like elevate the way that they're being positioned, and they were just used to like clickbaity press. And then also,
so true,
and then also like they weren't. And GK is like a great example. Like she's one of the top podcasters in the UK. She has sold out tours. She's created a conversation for women to talk about their sexuality, talk about their dating life, like very candidly, but she's monetized that. She's done like largely what Call Her Daddy has done. And so that's a legitimate story. Like, why isn't that being spoken about in like a larger capacity? Why is that just in the Sun when she's leaving a restaurant? And so adopting that model, I like realized we could bring it to the UK, and we had some clients who live there and some relationships with managers already for when people were trying to come to America and grow their audience. And so I had a great entry point, and I started to talk to managers out there, and people gave us a chance. And Sabrina the Tube Girl was like very much like our best case study of it working and like cracking the code, because we signed her when she was just becoming viral with all of her videos in the UK, and then she was going to America to do a whole partnership launch, and we got her on Chloe like spearheaded this, and it was great. She was on GMA, she was on the Kelly Clarkson show, she talked to Elite Daily, like she was everywhere. And I think that really changed the game for her. She had a Cause of Middle East cover, like she was global. She wasn't just segmented to like this UK market anymore. And so our understanding of how to do that, like we have 2 UK clients who are coming to New York for Fashion Week this year. And like we know how to get them into shows, how to get them pressed when they're here, like how to build their profile in the States just the same, and it makes them more marketable. And so I think global communication is so interesting, and I'm always learning about like the differences culturally in the UK versus America. Like there's a lot of things that are different. Like there's so many in-person conversations there, and like here, like I'll hop on a call with someone and what time we go to lunch, or like in the UK, like our retainers are a lot different. They're a lot lower than they are in America, and it's hard for them to just give you money and like with a fingers crossed mentality. And here PR is more structured out, where people know that it's like not guaranteed results right away, and so you have to like prove yourself more there. And so there's a lot of nuances, but I couldn't do any of it without like my team on the ground there, some who are American and some who are European, and it's a great mix.
I think the example with Sabrina Tube Girl, and you guys also represent Pookie and Jett, right?
We worked with them last year, and then she went on hiatus when she got pregnant.
Oh, but, right. But I was gonna ask, there's some influencers and these like digital native creators that you can either be like one viral moment and then you never hear from them again, or you're established and you're getting onto real publications and talk shows and you're going to events. Like, where is that sweet spot? Because I'm sure there's so many people who could have been big names and they just didn't get the necessary management or PR, whatever it is, to like actually establish themselves.
It's so true, and it's really interesting you say that. And I think it like comes down to 2 things: like striking while the iron's hot, and like knowing when there's tension around you, and then being willing to invest in PR. It's the same way where I tell our team, someone could be famous tomorrow and like none of us have ever heard about them, and they're gonna be all we're talking about and all the internet is talking about for the next week. And it's interesting. Like Jules LeBron, remember the Demure girl?
Yeah.
Like, how often do you think about her? Like, and she was everything last year, and we took a meeting with her team, and she didn't end up signing with us, and like she's done incredible things. Like, no shame to her. Just like I saw a longer term strategy, because I knew that like something like that was like a fleeting moment, and how do you build a career off of like a moment?
Haktua.
I was just gonna say Haktua next. I mean, like she's like has a whole thing, but I don't really understand her whole coin drama, but like it doesn't look cute or fun to deal with. And I've had clients before that like, you know, I'm not gonna name blast anyway, but like I've had clients who are going so viral, and then they develop somewhat of an ego, and they're like, I don't think I should be doing like Us Weekly or People, like I should be waiting for Vogue, or I should be doing this. And I'm like, honey, like let me level check with you. And like sometimes usually their managers are on the same side as me, and so we'll have like internal conversations of like how to best explain something to someone, and then a group chat with the client, which is so helpful. But like bringing someone back down to earth who has a little bit of an inflated ego will be hard. And I've had clients who like are not as relevant as I think they could have been, because they didn't understand the building blocks that you need to take. Like just because you were on top of the world and everyone on TikTok thinks you're amazing, you're not going to be on the cover of Vogue. You're just not. So it's like, you have to talk to the E's and the Peoples and the Us Weeklies. Get that SEO.
Yeah.
Like, drive the headlines you want. Like, be relevant. Sustain that. And then, like, let's go to the moon.
I think Morgan Riddle is such a good example of this.
Yeah.
Because I've watched tennis my entire life.
Oh,
like,
really?
My dad is the biggest tennis fan
Oh,
ever.
no way.
Like, barely ever watched football or anything like that. But, like, tennis, like, I've played since I was 3. I've been watching, like,
Have you been
all
to
this
Indian
stuff.
Wells or, like, any of the tournaments?
I've been to Wimbledon, the U.S. Open,
Oh my
and the Olympics.
Oh.
So, like, tennis has been, like, this giant thing in my life.
Oh
and
my God,
then
I love that.
I remember seeing her content. I was like, I've never seen someone, like, talk about tennis from the inside or, like, the girly side or, like,
Yeah.
the fashion and...
Before Taylor Swift made WAG culture.
I know,
what it is.
I know. But I think, like, Morgan, for example, like, did such a good job of that from the inside. That is such a good example because now she's, like, in Vogue or these other major publications. But you do have to, like, build your way up.
She's
People don't
a
know who you
phenomenal
are.
example of that.
Yeah.
And, like, I usually don't work with clients who don't have management or don't have agents because, like, you need for those people to, like, advocate for, like, your role because it might not happen today, tomorrow, but, like, in a month you could be on the cover of the New York Times. And,
Yeah.
like, when we started with Morgan, like, she was a friend of mine, honestly, and, like, I was working with another client who was in her lane who I stopped working with, and I texted Morgan, and I was like, I have a lot of open PR opportunities where I need to give this editor so they won't hate me, like, somebody to talk about, like, commentary, like, just expert commentary on tennis trends. It wasn't popular the way it was now. Challengers wasn't a thing. Nothing about tennis culture right now, like, existed then. And I was like, I won't even charge you, but, like, if you want to talk to this editor, like, People in Cosmo, like, Business Fashion, do that. And then she was interested a little bit, and then we sent out, like, a pitch and, like, a few pitches, and all of a sudden, like, we were able to, like, she's turning down so many things. Like, she won't even do, like, photo diaries anymore around, like, you know, and she used to do, like, Town and Country, like, day in the life of, like, Morgan at the US Open, or, like, a paper magazine photo takeover, and, like, now, like, we're being super selective because, like, we have bigger goals than we did, but, like, we're on year 3 with Morgan, and so, like, that trust and that establishment is, like, developed. I know her brand so well. I know her manager's vision so well. She's become a good friend of mine. Her agency are people that we share most of our clients with in general, and so it's very calculated. Like, Morgan isn't talking about Taylor at all in press. If you read articles, you won't see his name unless it's, like, the New York Times cover, and that was something that we all talked about as a team extensively. So that's how to say there's no shame.
That was
Taylor.
such a good headline. I remember
That was crazy. Not people that were so, like, what the hell? It's the US Open, and, like, she's getting the spotlight. It was crazy.
No, I love it. I love the tennis culture, the sport culture. It's so fascinating. And yeah, you have to say yes to everything, and then you get to say no.
Exactly. We're selective, and it's like, listen, like, her content is all about, like, we don't shy away from the fact that she's following Taylor on the road. Like, that's what, you know, gave her this visibility, and we're so excited about it. And they do stuff together around, like, the Olympics or partnerships during the Open, but we're trying to build Morgan outside of Taylor, like, out of respect for Taylor's career also. Morgan is interested in fashion, travel, lifestyle, hosting. She just hosted an Amphor event for F1, which we were able to secure for her. And so, like, it's so fun having that trust and that vision so clearly where, like, we know we're pitching her as, and, like, Taylor is a note in that pitch, but he's not anything about the main story. Like, it is really her, and it's very carefully crafted so that we can be more selective and turn things down. She has such an incredible platform now, and she did not have it 3 years ago. And, like, it's a very exciting thing, like, Carrie, to look back and be like, look what we were able to do and what we can do for someone else.
Yeah, it's really cool to see the development and the progress.
I love someone, like, that can see that as, like, a tennis fan, so I really appreciate that.
Yeah, because I've been watching it since I was, like, probably like 5 years old.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, I've never heard, like, this on social media, on TikTok, on, like, other people talking about tennis. It's mainly, like, me and my dad.
It's not, like, a moment in pop culture, like, the way it is now. And I think athlete culture in general has really shifted in so many interesting ways. But.
Yeah. I also just think, like, a lot of the conversation around WAGs before was like, oh, these women just, like, feed off of their husbands.
Remember those shows on E, like, Basketball Wives and things like
No,
that?
I've never seen that. Yeah, but I'm like, no, she's, like, an entrepreneur. She's making money off of this. It's very different, I think, from prior WAG culture.
Yeah.
So I'm like, she's not really a WAG.
Yeah, we
you
don't,
know?
like, it's interesting. We also, like, play around with that term in, like, an interesting way.
Yeah.
So we don't want her to be defined as someone's partner, but at the same time, we're very cognizant of, like, that's how her platform developed. But she's also, like, she has great relationships in fashion. Like, she went to Miu Miu and sat front row at Paris Fashion Week. And so we view her more as, like, a fashion tastemaker and, like, a someone who's, like, sports adjacent is, like, what I say instead of WAG. She's sports adjacent. So there's ways to PR it.
Okay, I have a couple speed round questions. Okay, so first question is, what is a misconception about working in PR?
Yeah, I think that, like, how I view it maybe is more like, did you watch The Hills?
No.
Like, so you probably don't know who Kelly Catrone is. Like, she was like this figure on the hills who, like, she's actually a real life publicist and has a really interesting company, but like her approach was like intense and like kind of like the Devil Wears Prada, all hands on deck, like that was also scripted. Like, no shame to Kelly, like she's awesome, but like I think people have that vision of like this publicist like wearing high heels and like everything's so intense and like and like I think that like it's so much more. It comes down to relationships. Like, it's being like relatable to your clients, and like who would I want to work with if I hired a publicist? Like, I want to work with someone who I feel like gets me, like who understands my vision. And I think that's why there's such an opportunity for like the younger generation to get involved in PR, because like we understand things so fundamentally. Like, we're not like 50, like whatever, like no shame to those publicists, but like we're not having to catch up and like play catch up and learn things as they develop in real time. Like, we know them in real time, we're learning them alongside you, and like we understand how to optimize them. So I think that like this big, scary, unapproachable figure in PR is like how I think of it, but everyone, like you said, has their own version. Like, some people might think it's slaving away and whatever, but like I think it really is just like figuring out how to be most approachable, like for your client.
And what is the best piece of advice that you've gotten or maybe given?
Ooh. Oh, well, something that we say in office, it's like our mantra. I honestly, I think I made this up, but I really don't want to take credit if someone along the way told me. So like, if they did, whoever you are, thank you. But it's PR, not the ER. And I think that kind of goes into what you said. Like, we sometimes feel like things are life and death, and like, oh my God, if we don't land this for this time, like they're going to do it. Like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? The same way that I love my staff. I have the best team in the world. I can't have my business be reliant on any one person other than myself. Same way with our clients. We can't be like, oh my God, if this client leaves, everything's going to fall apart and a meteor is going to hit the earth and we're all going to die. Like, it would be really unfortunate, but like, it's not life or death. And so I think that removing yourself from that equation like lets you see things more rationally and encourages you to like go slower and do things more thoughtfully, because it can feel really intense. But like, guess what? At the end of the day, we're talking about like galore. We're talking about an article for an influencer who's 18. We're not talking about the nuclear codes. And so I think that like just trying to like humanize it a little bit is important.
I like that a lot. And then lastly, do you have any recommendations for someone who is looking to get maybe into PR, wants to be a founder, business related? It could be like a book, podcast, newsletter.
Yeah, I'm really into Substacks these days. Like, they're really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Which ones do you subscribe to?
I have a Substack, so that's...
Oh, I need to subscribe to yours. Okay, cool.
The Millennial Decorator has one. They're mainly like vintagey fashion stuff. So I haven't really found yet the more business side, so I'm always asking.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so for me, like, I subscribe to so many editors' Substacks, and I'm happy to support them. It's like, whatever, a few dollars a month. And like, it's so interesting because like it shows their POVs, like especially during the LA wildfires. Like, our conversations in office every day were changing around like pitching sensitivities. Of course, we want to be aware and cognizant of what's happening around us and like not pitch something that's so tone deaf. But at the same time, like, there's a lot of freelancers out there who still need jobs and like still need assignments. Our clients are not on pause with us. If they still expect their coverage to be secured, where's the line and how do you navigate that? Our ideas and approach were literally changing in real time. And I was so grateful to have subscriptions to so many Substacks that a lot of editors were like literally making the headline, here's what to do during a natural disaster. Or like, here's how to pitch me and how to not pitch me. And they're telling you exactly, and these are like really big editors, like what to do. And it's like, instead of guessing or like throwing a dart at the board and hoping it sticks, we're getting the information right from the source. And so I think that that's been super, super helpful. And that note too, like if you don't subscribe to things or like don't want to put the money into that, like, reach out to people and just like, if there's someone you really like on LinkedIn, or if they're an editor or like an agent or someone that you like want to be with professionally, like them someday, like what I would do is approach it like, don't ask for their time and like what they can give to you, make it as easy as possible for them. So what I would do is like, I would send them like a $10 Starbucks gift card and be like, would love to have like a virtual 10-minute like coffee date, just like pick your brain on a few things, like share some ideas with you and see what you think. And it's gotten me like really far when I was younger, and I still do it today. Like, I'll reach out to an editor and be like, not pitching you, not asking anything of you, I would love to know like what your priorities are this year so I know where to pitch you. And like, that's led to some great things where they're like, oh, we're actually launching this vertical, and like we're interested in like founders who do this, or Gen Z influencers who are into that. And I'm like, amazing. Then I can go back to my team and be like, let's not pitch all 60 clients to this editor, but this editor really would be interested in like 4 of these kinds of clients. So let's like develop our pitches that way. And like, it just makes everything so much easier. So don't be afraid to like ask questions and just actively listen. Don't yap away. Like, there's always stuff to learn.
Yeah. I love that theme too of like just learning, I think has been throughout the episode as well. Like you want to learn from other people in the room and these Substacks. So that's a great ending point there.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you? Do you post about your clients on like Instagram?
I do. I'm like a proud mom. My Instagram's like my resume. I don't know how they're going to get a private account. It's just Emily Blair Marcus and Emily Blair Media. And I need to be better about thought leadership on LinkedIn. But you can find me there too. And you can email me and call me, beat me, text me, Snapchat me, show up at my house. There's so many ways to find me, and I will respond to all of them.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad we could meet.
Thank you for having me. I'm really honored.